My political daddy's in charge now. How does that sound? What does that feel like? What does that sound like? It means that there was enough people to vote for the guy that I think that should be governing everyone. And so we're going to push an idea, a group of ideas, on everyone else by force. That's what the Constitution is there for, is not to grant the people rights that we hold that are unalienable, right? The Constitution is a document that lets us know that tyranny is present if the limitations the Constitution has placed upon government are not being recognized, honored. We can't believe everything that we see on TV. If it's on digital media, it can be manipulated. But what we need to recognize is where our power is within the individual, right? The individual acting collectively towards health, happiness, peace, and abundance for everyone everywhere is likely to create that. We've got, 8 billion people on the planet? What if every day, for just 1 hour, we put our time and energy into ideas that solve problems, right? Because there's a lot of land outside of cities that is completely unoccupied. But when we put our intentions and our actions into a focused way, we build an environment that what once was uninhabited becomes inhabited in a way that it benefits everyone, right? I mean, because the deer had to go all the way to the river, which means they had to cross the highway to be able to get water. Now the deer can come in here because this is a little fenced, well, right now it's frozen, but they could still lick the edges, I'm sure. But they're not risking getting hit on the highway because of an improvement that's been made in nature's space. And if we're moving into nature to move nature out of nature, that's perhaps a slippery slope towards all sorts of problems, right? But when we live in nature or out in a more natural environment, it's peaceful. It's calm. Most of the time. Just like in life, and things can pop up, right? But we have to ask ourselves, if things are always popping up that create stress in our life, maybe we're in the wrong environment. And a lot of the people that are suffering in this world are living in cities. And they're living in cities because they're dependent upon a lot of things. They need to have Wi-Fi, and they need to have fast food and a card that buys the fast food. But when you live out in nature, you build gardens and you have food growing and you're creating things. And you're recognizing how if everybody was living in a less stressful environment, which is really, really possible. I've done it. I've I've lived in the war zone in Albuquerque, and um, I live in one of the worst counties in America for crime and uh, horrific, horrific violence. A lot of it being initiated by government, right? So this is like front lines to a spiritual battle, right? Control versus free will. And even though I believe everyone holds free will and should be using it, I hope they would choose to do it consciously, recognizing the natural laws of cause and effect. That if I do harm to others, there's going to be repercussion to that. We live in this world where man's corruptible law has prevented the natural laws and the first law from being expressed. The first law is free will. If we're all equal, who has the authority over you? Making the first violation of the first law the theft of consent. If I have an idea, I can share it with you. It's your free will as to whether or not you support it with your time and energy, or if you ever want to listen to anything I ever have to say again, right? I mean, that's the way freedom works. If I have stupid ideas and I just keep yelling at people with stupid ideas, then nobody's going to want to talk to me. But if I have an idea that sounds good, or that I've shared, that I've heard from somebody else, right? You can do it too, right? I mean, because I don't have a patent on living a calm life. I have a process that I help people follow or align with some ideas and perspectives to make their life a little easier in all the now moments that they're experiencing. But nothing absolute, you're going to do things in your life that create certain experiences that are either going to create a desire for growth, a desire for escape, a desire for change, right? And at least when there's a desire there, then there's action that will follow it. But until there's a desire to flip that script, no change happens. And the change should be towards freedom, not control. The well-being of humanity rather than a thriving economy. What if, through the focus on well-being of humanity, it builds a natural, healthy, balanced economy? Because it's focused on the we, not just a me that can afford to enter the thresholds of business. Life should be voluntary. You shouldn't be able to assume something from somebody else, because that's an assumption of their time, their energy, their knowledge, their wisdom, their most valuable resource, their time. But if you have harmed no one, no one should have an authority to put their hands on you or steal money from you just because somebody somewhere said so. Flipping the script is just the process of being self-responsible and accountable for what you do. And I choose not to support anybody who supports the initiation of violence upon a nonviolent person. If you're ever initiating violence, you're in the wrong. And like I mentioned earlier, we've seen a lot of videos of a lot of horrific acts. But we have to also consider that in the day of AI, a lot of these things can be formulated not from factual evidence, but just as an idea expressed into an artificial intelligence, and it's presented as real. Sometimes these things are done to promote fear. False evidence appearing real, being done on television programming to the masses of a cult. You're being shaped by idols and advertising to think and act a certain way. With awareness, we only support good ideas that benefit ourselves and our families, the future generations, and the beautiful planet that we live on. It's time to start rethinking how we do things. When global war is proving corporate profits soaring, then we're warring and global profits are soaring, right? Is that how we're trying to do things nowadays?